It's good to be home in Kansas. I grew up in Lawrence, a few miles down the road, went to the University of Kansas. My mom went to K-State, so I can claim a little of both, a little Wildcat blood, a little Jayhawk blood, so just to make sure I'm covering the whole audience here. I want to share just a few things. I think there are a few basic principles that I believe in that I think most of you believe in. Limited government, fiscal responsibility, rule of law, freedom for individuals and freedom for families. Not bad ideas, huh? Good ideas. Yeah, our founders believed in the same things. The utopian statists who are back in D.C., who want to take us down a path of big government and statism, seem to have lost sight of what the founders actually envisioned for governments. We love to quote those lines, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, they're endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We seem to stop there. The next line is, to secure those rights, governments are instituted among men. Governments, no, that's a good applause line. Because governments are instituted to secure rights and take none of them away. But you know what that also means? You know what that also means? Governments don't give us our rights, God does. Now, I think one of the things that we're experiencing is that many in this country have lost sight of why government exists. But I love this quote by Tocqueville. The greatness of America lies not in her being more enlightened than any other nation, but in her ability to repair her faults. And we have much to repair. We have much to repair. Now, with these rights that we have, with the rights that we have of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, with these rights come responsibilities. We have a responsibility and a duty to be good stewards of our rights and shoulder our responsibilities as citizens of this great country. Some of those responsibilities include selecting the right leadership of this country, and I would say we have left much undone in that area. I want to share a story with you. It's one of my favorite from the Revolutionary War. There was a man by the name of Dr. Joseph Warren, a great son of liberty. He came to the Old South Meeting House in Boston, March 6, 1775, to commemorate the 5th anniversary of those slain during the Boston Massacre. British officers came on the front row, came to intimidate Warren. Some of them were actually sitting in the front row playing with musket balls in a not so subtle way, trying to silence Warren, but he would have none of it. He looked over their heads to the gathered Bostonians, and he said, "Our country is in great danger now, but not to be despaired of. The fortunes of America depend on you. You are to decide the important questions upon which rest the happiness and liberty of millions yet to be born. Act worthy of yourselves." And I would say the same to us. The happiness of millions yet to come is dependent upon what we will actually do. Not what we say, not what we think, but what we will actually do on behalf of freedom and liberty. Now, I'm very happy that we came out tonight. I think it's wonderful that we're out here protesting on behalf of freedom and liberty, protesting at what's taking place in D.C., but I have a challenge for you. I have a challenge that I want you to go home from here and literally become community organizers on behalf of freedom. I want you to go back and take back your communities. That's what American Majority is doing. We're a national organization. We've got 6 state offices in which we have full-time staff in the state working to identify and train up a new generation of leadership, not only people running for state and local office, but activists as well, who believe in these basic principles of rule of law and limited government and fiscal responsibility and freedom for the individual and freedom for the families. I have this maybe quaint little idea that we should be allowed to decide what our health care looks like. I think families should have the right and the ability to decide how their children are educated. But one of the ways that we're going to be able to make sure we still have those rights is if we have leadership that respects those rights to make those decisions. We're training up people to be more effective in their communities. I want to acknowledge I have two of my staff here. Sherry Weber, right here, is the Executive Director of American Majority in Kansas. Very privileged to have Sherry on board with us. Used to be Majority Leader in the State House. And Becca Rom is somewhere as well. Becca, where are you? There's Becca, native of Salina. Also a Jayhawk, University of Kansas graduate. Very glad that she's on board. I want to close with this last thought. Changing the course of a nation is never easy, but I believe that there are moments in time in which we can change those times in which we live. We can make history, and I believe we're in the midst of one of those times. We have been given an opportunity in which people like you and millions of others have been awakened, have been roused to come out and want to do something. We have this moment, let's not waste it. Now, my challenge to you is that you will go home tonight, look at yourself in the mirror, and ask yourself, what am I prepared to do on behalf of freedom and liberty? Don't assume that the person to your right or to your left is going to do something to save you or this country. Look at yourself and ask yourself, what are you prepared to do? Changing the course of a nation is never easy, but we can make history. And so when you go home tonight, ask yourself, am I going to continue to be a spectator, or am I going to step into history? We're Americans with a firm belief in God-given rights and the belief in limited government. So when you go home from here, ask yourself, am I going to make history? And when you go home from yourself, make sure to act worthy of yourselves. Thank you very much.